Welcome to Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Chie, the host of this podcast, which is all about beverage innovation. I talk with innovation pioneers from agriculture to glass. Thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe to be notified of all new episodes. And welcome, everybody, to Thursdays. My name is Chie, and I have Brooks and Chie from TOST. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you guys on today. Obviously, I'm wearing your shirt and your hat.
Yeah, no, thanks for wearing the colors, and we're thrilled to be in the podcast. We've listened to you for a while now, and so we're excited for it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys listened to the podcast. That's awesome. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. I think it's, a platform for people like yourself, that are kind of doing something different out there, and it's kind of a startup situation not too long ago, at least. And so it's fun to learn other people's journeys and how you got here. And, I can't wait to dig in and get your history and find out what your outlook is for 2024. So where are y'all calling from today?
We're in Dorset, Vermont.
Vermont. Oh, wow. That's far. Oh, it's cold.
Oh. Yeah, cold and snowy Vermont. But 3-season place, mud season. Well, 4-season with mud season, but a lovely place to run a business. And neither of us are from here originally. Chie's from Japan and I'm from Chicago, but we, after a sort of a long journey, landed here with our family, and it's been a wonderful place to not only raise a family, but to start a business. Huge food scene in Vermont, quality, natural, premiumization, all those great inputs. So we feel fortunate to be here, part of this little community.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful part of the country, I'm sure. I haven't made it up there yet, but I want to.
Well, you have a host to take you around when you're.
Yeah, it would be so fun to fly up to Boston and just drive around up there, or even fly into Bangor. We have Allegiant Air. That's there's an airport in Sanford about 10 minutes from our house, and so we could just fly up there real easy and just get a car and travel around. It'd be great. Yeah, right after the kiddos go to school.
Exactly.
like late August to September. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time
here.
When do the leaves start? I mean, I'm from Iowa, so I know that they start, or, I'm sure you're further north. I mean, you're further north, but I'm sure it's not September, but
I think it's the end. I think the end of September to like late October.
Yeah.
And it's just everywhere you look is gorgeous.
Yeah, I remember going into my tooth surgeon, whatever he's called. Sorry, I had a little bit of tiny work done, but anyway, he was on the 12th floor in Dallas, and it overlooks the whole western side of the city. And when I was up there, I guess it was the first week of December, and you could see all the trees were all these different colors, and it looked really beautiful, like a real fall. And when I came back for my checkup, it must have been maybe the second week in November, and there was all green. It was still all green. I'm like, is it late? This is so disappointing. And then I remembered, it's like 2 weeks, which I guess makes a big difference.
It does. I mean, Vermont's on the early side. We're certainly a month ahead of, say Connecticut or New York. Mm-hmm. Down by the city. I mean, it's by October, by Halloween, it's sleet and cold. It turns pretty quick.
Yeah, I know in Iowa, growing up, Halloween could just be miserable, and even in Dallas, you just never know. You could be in shorts, or you could just be miserable cold.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know, but it's still fun.
You got to roll with it, especially up here. At some point, you stop looking at the weather report, and you just always have a jacket in your car. And
it's kind of like the news. It just is what it is. So, do you snowshoe or cross country or ski or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's I personally skied a fair amount when we first moved here, and the last couple of years kind of moved more into that snowshoe program and less on the skiing. But you got to get outside and get active when you have long winters, no matter where you live. You can't hide your way out of it. So if you don't like to be outdoors in the cold and doing something, this isn't the ideal spot for you, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, for me, and then
I ski too, and then a snowshoe. When kids are small, our school in this area has a once a week ski program in Tuesday afternoons. So we drop them off at they go from school to the ski mountain, and then when I pick them up, I just do a little bit run, sign up as a driver, and then get a discount at the ski mountain.
Perfect.
And then I do my run. It's just perfect. And then it's a weekday ski, less people, and we really enjoy being so close to the mountain. And it's not a big deal to just go to ski mountain, but it's just I can go for a few runs and then okay, I'm done, and then week after. So it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us, including kids, to ski.
That's a lot of fun. So is there tubing, like downhill tubing too? That would be so fun.
Yes. It is, and then you just really go fast on one of our mountains.
Oh, especially if it's icy, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, our kids did a lot of sledding just in our backyard.
Yeah.
Or down the street, someone's property.
Yeah. Yeah, we always did too. It was fun. Growing up in Iowa, we lived by a big park, and so we had some hills, and it was kind of fun. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you got to embrace it, and I think it's also a mindset. I mean, I was always I'm leaving Iowa, I'm going south, just because I just knew it wasn't fun. But if I were to go, say, visit for a weekend or go skiing for a week or something, it would be fine. I would love it just to be outside, and it is pretty and it is fun. It's not miserable unless the wind is blowing. You can tolerate pretty decent cold weather, because of the layering, but then the wind is like a whole other conversation.
That's true.
You know it.
Yeah, we got privileged to choose, when to go. Okay, the weather's gorgeous. It just snowed. We had a snowstorm. So why don't I just, take a few hours off and then go to ski mountains? So that's, the advantage being here as a local.
Yeah, the mountains. From our office where we are right now in Manchester, it's 12-minute ride up to the base of the mountain.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a good ski morning, you can jump out there first thing and be in the office at 10 or 11 or whatever you want. So that's the romantic side of it.
Yeah.
The other downside is clomping through sleet
Plowing.
and snow,
shoveling,
drudging to work, shoveling in late March and stuff like that is less of the romantic side of the story.
Yeah.
But it's been a great place for us and for Toast, and we like it here.
Yeah, and fighting with the city plow in your driveway. What?
Yes.
I just shoveled that. Oh, it's fun. But I remember doing donuts and having a lot of fun as a kid, driving around doing things we weren't supposed to, but it was fun. It's good times. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Chie, you said you're from Japan. Where in Japan?
I was born and raised in Hiroshima. Moved to Osaka when I was in college, and then Tokyo. I got a job in Tokyo, and that's where I met my husband. Brooks was working in Tokyo. Yes, and then the rest of the
rest is history.
Yeah, you moved a lot.
After that, yes, if I can keep going, I moved to London. I was a flight attendant. My passion is travel, food, and beverages. So I wanted to see the world. I wanted to learn about the cultures, languages. So I moved to London as a flight attendant, traveled around the world. And after that, we moved to Toronto, Canada together. And back in Tokyo, that's where we had 3 children. They were all born in Tokyo. and then 12 years ago, 2011, we moved to Vermont.
Wow. World travelers.
Yeah, that's a quick story.
Yeah.
That's the bridge. That's the bridge
Yeah,
version.
I can't wait to get into
Yes.
that. Real quickly before we get into the brand, I spent some time in Japan this summer with my cousins. Yeah, he's from Colorado. He's Loana's first cousin, and then married a Japanese woman. And we just love her to death. We just can't wait for them to get here. And she's a Disney nerd.
What is
Huh?
Where do they live? Do
They live in
Japan?
Osaka. She's from Osaka. He teaches there. And so
nice.
we're excited
Nice.
to go to the parks and, get some miles in, get some rides in.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, it was
Awesome.
so great. We got tattooed, which I know is a no-no, but we did it anyway. It was really fun. It was really fun. Yeah. Now I can't go into any hot springs or spas. I am no longer allowed.
You can
Hide it.
Yeah, I mean, you get away with it.
It's an official rule, but a lot of places
They look the other way. They don't really care.
it's the
Okay.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's good to know because
I'll call it a rule.
okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. Yeah, I can't wait to go back. It's where I realize that we don't know anything about sake really here in general. As Americans, we just don't.
Right.
It's like a whole new
Yeah.
world over there. Yeah, they had to drag me out of the stores there. It was so impressive, and 80 wineries over there. That the wine was good. It was really fun. A great trip. So
Yes.
anyway,
We've
go
got
ahead.
some. Yeah, we got some friends that are very involved in the wine movement in Japan.
Yes.
Which is budding.
Mm-hmm.
And with the exchange rates right now, the wine there's really taking off because the yen's gotten so weak that people are buying more local for price.
Yeah.
So there's some quality over there, and they got a ways to go, but there's a massively budding winery business that's booming and exciting, and
yeah.
Japan's all about quality, so that they're going to get there at some point.
Yeah, and then I think the sake industry in Japan are definitely looking outbound. So we do have a lot of great sakes locally, but I think they're looking at U.S., Europe. Yeah, there are a lot of breweries and companies that focus on that. There's definitely a great market for the sake companies.
Yeah, it's certainly a segment I'm leading into as well as the NA Bev, but I think the key to success on that segment is education, just because I'm WSET level 3.
Yeah.
Not that I'm supposed to know anything about sake, but if I hadn't done any studying on my own, it's just not part of our culture really, and it's not part of our cuisine and our habits and how we look at food and drink. It's beer, it's spirits, it's cocktails, it's wine, it's and so one of the things that struck me, and I'm sorry we're talking about sake, I can cut this out, but the versatility of having sake within the amazing flavors in a single meal. If you want steak, you want red wine, and if you want an appetizer or a salad, you want maybe a different flavored wine, and this, that, and the other. But you can have one bottle of sake that go with a million flavors, and it all works. It's really
true.
cool.
Yeah. There's a lot. I think the sort of U.S. impression, to clump it all together, and which is unfair. But if you say that, it's like you go to Benihana's and you get the hot sake, and boy, that was fun, and it's really not that great tasting, but you sort of buy it anyway for the experience. It's almost a parallel to where we got involved in that sort of sparkling beverage space back 7 years ago. People were buying stuff but not necessarily really engaging it that much. Once you sort of learn on the sake front, okay, that certain sakes should be served at certain temperatures. There's sweet sakes, there's dry sakes, there's nigori, the unfinished sake versus refined, and all that. Once you delve into that and understand it, which is not terribly complex but does take an education, all of a sudden you go, wow, this stuff is really good. I don't want to. You would never heat up, this Otokoyama or Kubota or what have you. Like, these are wonderful sakes that you just drink on their own, and they do go well with a lot of different things. And I mean, we're obviously I went through a huge sake phase when I was over there, and still have bottles at home and enjoy it, and have a very nice sake cup collection. That's kind of every time someone goes to Japan, that's all. Like, give me a sake cup.
I love it.
So very very particular style of ceramic or what have you, but it's a fun beverage to drink, and it does taste great and pairs phenomenally well. So I'll be excited to listen on your show when you get all that up and running.
Yeah, I can't wait. The sake industry is growing here in terms of just not so much consumer, but also American brewers. They're becoming
Mm-hmm.
it's becoming more and more, and that's very exciting. And so I actually just heard from Ty Bellamy. He was on the podcast in December. He was on Sake Revolution, and he was the number 5 in the 2003 podcast, which is really cool. But he's like amazing, and I can't wait to kind of get to know him and learn more about the sake world, because it's a lot smaller, I think, than you think. You know, there's not as many players as like spirits and wines and beers and whatnot. So I'm super, super excited for 24 on that direction. So apologies, we we went down that sake trail, but it's so much fun to talk about, and I think it's an important product, I think, you know, for us to embrace. Certainly it's the underdog to, you know, the NA Bev category, which is predicted to be the biggest dry January ever, which, you know, the numbers are indicating that. So I'm super pumped to see what happens, and excited that we're, you know, in dry January and about to talk about your product. So let's start. So where do you want to start from the very beginning?
It's up
Yeah,
to you.
let's
Follow
do
your
it.
lead.
So how did the project come about?
So it's a long story that probably requires a whiteboard in about 45 minutes. So I'll try to give you the boiled down version here. But um, you know, we're actually not the founders of the product. We are the majority shareholders of the product, and I've been running the product since it went as CEO since we went live in 2017. But created in part by a gentleman who's no longer with us on this earth, sadly, a guy named Joe Faso in Hudson Valley, along with Alfred Pertali of the Gotham Bar and Grill, Michelin star, James Beard award-winning chef, and a flavorist, Tom. And the concept was that, and you have to think back to like 2014, 2015, that there really weren't any sophisticated and meaningful beverages that reached that occasion of when someone might want something that's elevated and premium, but not necessarily, you know, alcoholic. So, you know, it's the kind of classic, you're at a party, you're not drinking, you're having a San Pellegrino lime, you're having a ginger ale to sort of pretend that you're drinking something. You know, the culture was totally different around it. People wouldn't go out on, you know, I'm not going out this week because I'm not drinking. During that period, when there wasn't any innovation on that front, you had O'Doul's on the beer side, you had sparkling juices. That was really about it. The idea was, how do we create something that has all these attributes of an alcoholic beverage that can stand parallel to an alcoholic beverage when you're at a social occasion, something that you would want to drink that would pair well with food, that would go with fine dining, but was approachable. So through all of that, and over 50, something like 50, 75 iterations, the original toast flavor was born. And that was in 2016 with a test trial soft launch. And then I got involved after that. Sort of, you know, they went into 50 stores, they tested the market, and then came, you know, we got together and they said, hey, you come in and help sort of figure out what our next steps are. I got involved as an advisor and then CEO, and we formally launched in April of 2017. 2019 took control of the company, you know, majority control of the company. Still have investors and all that, obviously. So been there from the beginning, but didn't create the original. Obviously, we were you know, part of the rosé creation, but really it all stems from sort of your classic, you know, there's a problem that needs to be solved. How do you solve it? And then bringing various parties together that have different, you know, different expertise to help solve that, which is, let's create a beverage that is meaningful and is sophisticated, yet approachable and widely liked by a lot of people, and that you can serve well with food. And so if you're at a party, you're not drinking, or you have a guest who's not drinking, and you want to treat them with the same level of welcomeness that you would anyone else, their toast is there for you.
So you said that conversations around this started back in 2014. Wow,
Yeah.
that's about
Yeah.
as early as it gets. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a few companies that started back then, but it certainly wasn't a thing in the US here. I think the UK was a little bit more developed and quicker than we did over here. But that's really ahead of the curve. If you're already in market by 2017, that's great.
I was just going to say that, yeah, it was. I mean, 2017 was early, and it was really in those early days. People were sort of saying, like, some people were like, "Wow, this is amazing," and other people were like, "I don't get it. When would you drink this? Like if you're not drinking scotch, just drink water. I don't really get it." We've come so far since then in terms of the acceptance of, and I go back to that sort of Mad Men social stigma. I came from finance, and when I was in finance in Tokyo and New York, and people would, I'm not going out, I'm not drinking, I'm taking a week off. So they would just disappear, go hide in their apartment. Now people you can go out and you can have a great meal, and no one's asking any questions about, what you're drinking or not drinking. It's just a part of life. And, it doesn't matter which age group that is either.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's the boomers to the X to the millennials to the Z. For different reasons, people are opting out. It might be this month, it might be this week, it might be this day. It might just be, 94% of all purchases are moderation purchases. So in the space, so what we're really seeing is this is a moderation play. I've gone to dinner, I've had a martini, I don't want to have another drink. There's toast. Right. We hear that over and over and over again. I'm not drinking during the week anymore. I'm trying to lay off. I want to watch Netflix. I've been drinking sparkling water all day or coffee. I want something different to change over to that, to my nighttime routine, to my time off. What do I want? I want something. There's toast. That's just happening again and again and again, which is really exciting.
That echoes exactly what Bill and John were saying at Athletic Brewing, that they were surprised at they surveyed their customers, and they said the exact same thing. Yeah, I still drink, but I take breaks, or sometimes I don't want to drink, or exactly what you said, I don't drink on weekdays, or whatever the case may be. And they were pretty surprised about that. But I think that's kind of becoming pretty mainstream. I know it is for me. And I didn't do it before this podcast until I started kind of learning more about it, interviewing people. The beer segment has been so far ahead of everything else that I've known. I didn't realize that Toast has been around for that long. So that's really exciting. And how have you developed or redeveloped or fine-tuned any of the ingredients or any of the processes since 2017?
No, it's the same. Yeah. It's the same stuff you find in a bottle, 7 years ago, which is amazing to think. We've been producing that long. So, our bottles changed over the years. We've had a couple design changes over the years, not to the logo, not to anything we say in the bottle, but just the actual physical bottle, a little wider, a little stronger, a little shorter, a little taller, whatever early days, you sort of took what you could get. Now we're making our own molds and have more control over that process. But other than that, it's the same old, and we're, if sort of it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've had very high, high ratings and testings, and people like the product, and so let's just keep it as is, and obviously developing new flavors and trying some different things out, but let's keep the gold standard.
Is it made here and sourced here in the U.S.?
Made and sourced in the U.S., all natural, no preservatives. So
what's a shelf life for something like this? Wow,
2 years.
That's a long time. Okay, even in the can, huh?
Yeah, we prefer people drinking it a little bit quicker than that. If we're on shelf at a store 2 years later, then we're probably not going to stay on the shelf very long. So we don't really butt up against that. But it is an all natural product, and with that, you get color variation and some tea sediment over time These are natural occurrences. We talk about it on the bottle actually, and so we like to see people consume it within the first year, but it does have nuanced changes to it if you're drinking it 3 months old versus
awesome.
18
That's
months
cool.
old. It isn't all that. When you're playing in the all natural realm, and you have juices and concentrates and tea and things like that, you can't expect the beverage, if it is all natural, to maintain absolute perfection across the board. The only way to do that is to plop some preservatives in there. So we do have a 2-year shelf life. Quite frankly, it can probably go longer, but we just put you have to put a back end on it somewhere, and 2 years seems to be like.
Should we break it open and try some? Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes.
Please.
So I have.
Is it chilled?
Is. It's very cold. It came from the beverage fridge outside in the lanai. So we've got 2.
Beautiful.
These are little minis, which comes in this cute little 4-pack. So what do these retail for?
Yeah. Those are
$13.99.
Yeah.
$13.99 for the 4-pack, typically, and they're twist tops as well.
So
I'm not very good at it. I'm wimpy. Okay,
the
thank
way
you.
You like.
I'm tough, but some things I'm kind of wimpy. All right. So which one should we try first?
It's up to you.
Original?
Try the original first. Yeah.
On the camera. Oh, this looks perfect. You can't tell the difference with this at all. The color, the bubbles, the fizz. Wow, it is pretty.
Great. Good. A champagne glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry. Cheers. I got excited. Yummy. Okay, so you want to talk us through the ingredients?
Yeah. I mean, it's a blend of white tea in the original flavor, white cranberry, and some various extracts. Ginger, being a key component to the product. Various citrus extracts. I mean, there's about we have a secret blend of up to 80 or 90 different spices and flavors that go in there, but predominantly the tea, the cranberry, and the ginger. What we put on the front label, and then citrus extracts and various spices to almost create originally almost a fantasy flavor where different people taste different things. We get that a lot, and there's a complexity to the beverage that allows for that. But the real goal was that it would have an attractive nose, a nice mouthfeel, and a relatively dry finish.
All of the above. It's definitely got a wonderful mouthfeel. I really, really love this. What kind of pairings do you recommend with it?
It's always, we get that question a lot, and we haven't really gone out and made formal, this is what it pairs well with. We're served in Michelin star restaurants, and we're served in rib joints. We serve
or even Asian restaurants, yes.
Korean barbecue and sushi restaurants.
And we're trying to push the brunch campaign with
Great
toast.
idea.
Yeah.
So breakfast too, yes.
So that brunch period, put a shot of orange juice in it, and you've got a mimosa, toast mimosa. So really, I mean, fish, chicken, steak, pork, it really kind of goes with everything. Paired that way as well. It was never meant, always made to not be overbearing on any food.
Well, with that nice structure, you really can kind of pair it with heavier foods, which is really nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got a nice finish to it. It makes you want more. I can't stop. It's a good thing there's no alcohol in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cranberry. So how can you explain the cranberry in here?
Stringency.
Okay.
It provides a level of stringency, the white cranberry. So it's got its own sort of unique taste, but there's that mouthfeel stringency that we wanted to capture. So when the product was being created, it wasn't that we were in love with white cranberry or super passionate about white tea. It was that these ingredients provided a part of this experience. And so it was finding the right combination, which is why there were so many iterations to have that elevated experience and yet have these ingredients that provide some of these aspects. So it was what we were looking to achieve more than what we were looking to put in. You know, we were pulling things in to achieve a certain flavor profile, as opposed to saying, you know, white cranberry is going to be really hot this year. Let's figure out a way to use white cranberry. It's quite the opposite.
Well, it's a high quality, really nice product. What other sizes does it come in? Do you want to talk a little bit about that? I see you guys have some cans, and I know it's in the 750s.
Yes, so we have the 750s here, and then the 4-packs are the one that you have is 250 milliliters. And then, yes, just the cans. We're launching.
Launching our new can line, which will only be very limited, not available in retail, not available online. You'll see them in, popping up in arenas, on cruise ships, resorts, poolside. We really want to focus on that. 2025, that story may change, but as we are today, soft launching as where can Toast not go because it's in glass? Let's put the cans there. And we're very much a company that walks before we run. We like to be very sort of careful about how we launch things. We're very particular about the quality. We're not going nationwide with cans tomorrow, by any means. So they're awesome. We're excited about them. We've had a few events. We were down at the Mindful Drink Fest down in DC this weekend. It's a big non-alc event. We sort of showcased the cans a bit. They were quite popular. But we have time. We have time, so we'll get there.
I don't know of any other NA Bev that's like that in a can. But for summertime, their pools and whatnot are perfect.
Well, it's very clear that there are certain venues and certain occasions that don't fit well with glass.
Yeah.
And we understand that. And one of the things at Toast that we believe in is that, we have this sort of tagline for many years, anytime, anywhere, by anyone. We want to be accessible to everyone. It's one of our core tenets, one of our brand pillars is this accessibility and inclusiveness. And if you can't go on poolside, bars, cruise ships, airplanes, beaches, arenas, people don't want, music fests, all of that. You drop a bottle and it's a hazmat site.
100%.
As we all know. So the cans are another vehicle of accessibility that we feel is important.
And what are your 750s retail for?
$8.99 is our SRP. And you're going to see them at $8.99, $9.99 on the West Coast. If you walk into a specialty store on the West Coast, you might see $12.99. But in your general retail, you're in that sort of $8.99, $9.99 range.
Okay.
Maybe get lucky and find a retailer or two who's still playing at $7.99, but those are few and far between these days, given all that's happened in the last 3 years with inflation.
Well, let's taste this second one, and then I have a few questions. Okay. You want to talk a little bit about this one? The rosé?
The rosé.
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
Yes, it's a little drier than the toast, and then it has the elderberry instead of cranberry. And this is my personal favorite, rosé. And the color does come from the elderberry and the rosé flavor. Yes, but similar to toast, we didn't want to go too far from the toast original taste, but it has its own unique taste, and then the color obviously attracts a lot of people with the rosé. Yes, we're
awesome. Well, I gotta try it. I can't wait any longer. Yummy.
So which one do you like better?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna ask me that. I think I like them equally for the different flavors that they kind of that come across, because this one, it has a little bit more acid to it to me. it's got a little bit more pungency to it. Like, you can feel it in your mouth. It's creating that saliva where you just want more. Whereas this one's a little bit silkier, softer, a little bit more of a finish, I guess. This one's definitely feels a lot drier. But both are very, very, very well made. The quality is certainly in the bottle, and the products you can tell are high quality. And yeah, I'd serve this anytime, anywhere. Yeah, these are
Thank you.
congratulations. These are so fun.
Yeah,
They're so yum. Yeah.
thank you. The split in the market is something like 50.5 rosé and 49.5 toast at this stage. It's right down the middle.
Yeah.
And it's not geographic, and it's not demographic, age, sex, race, whatever, none of that. It's literally some people like one flavor better, and you really nailed it with that silkiness. The toast is sweetened with agave, organic agave, and the rosé is sweetened with cane, and so you do get different mouthfeels from that alone, which is really which is interesting and was done on purpose to provide some distance with the beverages. So they are. It's really people's choice. I mean, we can't find any correlation as to why one group of people likes it one way or the other. There's not. You can take two people in New York City with the same exact demographic map and want to go, yeah, I prefer the rosé. And one goes, well, I like the toast. And that's
Yeah, I
just the way
think
it
it's
is.
mood, and it depends on what you're eating or what you're getting ready to eat. I mean, maybe the white can be a little bit more, easygoing, more palatable, and the rosés maybe a little bit better with food on this day and not the other day. I mean, it just depends, a lot, and that's the fun about the industry that we're in, right? We get to try all these different flavors with different foods. That's
Totally.
obviously where where I come in with food and beverage innovation. It's fun. It's definitely the core of what I do. So this has been awesome. So I do have some questions, if you don't mind, before we jump off.
Yeah.
What was it like trying to sell in 2017 comparatively to now? I mean, we talked a little bit about the mindset change and, being in the NA Bev so early on. What was your thoughts behind just distribution? Who do you go to? Where do you go? What distributors, what's does the three tier at that point, was that a thought in your mind? Did you have relationships in that road, or did you go right to the big box retailers? Like, what was that thought process and how did that come about?
Well, the early, the product was launched in the Hudson Valley, a town called Red Hook. The original first run was warehoused there. We produced down in Pennsylvania. We moved it up there. And so I would drive down from Vermont, fill up the car, and then I would drive back and stop in stores along the way and just sell them into the stores. And, just say, hey, look, we have this product. And so it was very much that local out of the back of the car start. Very salesy background, comfortable doing that. Started building up, obviously, our community in Vermont. And the DSDs had no interest in the space, and really didn't have any interest in the space until about a year and a half or 2 years ago. and I think, and I'll credit Bill and Athletic for their interest. They've done so smashingly well, and they've proven that there's a market for this. That their leadership in that has then allowed everyone else to feed off of that and follow in their footpaths. So in the DSD space, they're saying, wow, we can actually make money doing this. There's a real viable product here and a desire. Whereas certainly in 2015, 2017, but even in 2020, 2021, that wasn't quite there yet. So, number one, forget about DSD. We started specialty grocery, was really where we thought the low hanging fruit was. Some restaurants, but very hard to get to restaurants. You got to have the right distribution. So that's specialty grocery, mom and pop, sort of classic stores. These names won't mean anything perhaps to you, but maybe some of your audience, but like Guido's in the Berkshires, 2 stores, Healthy Living in Burlington, Vermont, Palmer's Market in Connecticut, Sickles in New Jersey. These are great, independents that came on board, Adams Fairacre in the Hudson Valley, that are just phenomenal shops. and came on and brought brands like us on early on, and in a place where they know how to sell product. They know that if they bring something in its quality, they could, if they have to, they're going to dump it. So they're willing to try it. They pay you right there. Here's a check. Sure, I'll take a couple of cases. Let's see what happens. And all of a sudden it starts moving, and then they start coming back, and that just snowballed. So, specialty grocery was interested, and that was our path really through 2020. We had a couple of, DSDs we were picking up in the region, but it was sort of these specialty opportunities that got us into that and grocery, and we kind of went from there. And now we're we're in Walmart, we're going nationwide in Albertsons, Total Wine, ABC down in Florida, Bevmo in California. The liquor stores are involved, HEB in Texas, Sprouts, Fresh Market, Whole Foods. Everyone's sort of getting into the game, and so we've been building out our DSD network, building out our broadline, national distributors, specialty distributors, and we're seeing a ton of interest on premise. I sort of call 2024 the year for on premise for non-alc. We're seeing RFPs from everybody.
Great.
Some people are further along than others. We get it. We're not really sure how we're going into it. We're not quite ready, but we know, we're aware, we're going all in. These are all the different things you hear from different groups. Everyone's aware now. Whereas in 2017, there was like, so you're a better Martinelli's? Like, well, not really. It's not really what we're doing. We're just doing different. Okay, so I don't really, there's alcohol in it, right? No, there's no alcohol. There was like that kind of experience.
So I think the sober curious or mocktail, those words start coming in like 2019, and then the movement comes in, and then then the people start becoming curious with us and other brand, and then I think so 2024 we want to lead those movement and then spread those educations to more people. There
was an article, and I think it was summer of 2019. It was a WAPO article, top 7 trends to follow, and we were in it as one of the non-alcs that were listed, but less about us and more about the movement. For me, that was sort of a really pivotal point when we really felt like that. You sort of find an article every once in a while. It was kind of like in the UK, there's companies like Seedlip, that there was that, and this was the first, US. Hey, this is a trend you should take a look at. True. And so you think about that, and unbelievably, that's 4.5 years ago. But where we are today, to your point, alcohol sales are down. There's an article today; they're down in the month. Cannabis sales up in the month, alcohol sales down. But the trial that goes on during this month and the awareness of it is amazing. And just in our network of friends who've known that we've been doing this for for 7 years, it's very fascinating to be like, oh my God, I keep seeing all the stuff about it. It's just, there's so much momentum behind the NA movement, and it's a good thing. And it's a great thing. It's a moderation play. People who live healthier lifestyles and have great choices.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, to your point with cannabis, there's a lot of talk on this podcast too about not just the NA Bev that's coming, but it's the CBD and the THC that are in beverages that people are experimenting with. I mean, how many people, and I don't know if it's in Vermont, but in the cities, it's like, yeah, I'm microdosing on mushrooms. They make me feel great. I'm having a good time. Like, you're not getting drunk. You're not being weird. It's just sort of a mood enhancer. And I think that is such a lovely thing also as part of, a way to evolve into our drinking culture. Maybe less about alcohol and more about health and more about your mood, and the enjoyment of life. Everybody drinks for different reasons, but certainly that would be that'd be more of a I'm doing this for my health. It's like, for me with coffee, I had COVID really bad, like everybody did with their taste buds and whatnot, but chaga mushrooms, in lion's mane, they help me focus. They I really love it. That's my favorite coffee now in the morning, and it makes a difference.
Well, we're learning so much, and everyone's listening to the Huberman podcast and all the science of neurology and all that. And I just think the science, the cannabis front is going to be challenging until the feds break down the state by state barrier for any business to be able to produce at a level that is sustainable. There's no economies of scale on that front. But in terms of cross selling and certainly in beverage, but yeah, I mean the aptogens are hot. I think it's important to understand what they do. I think it's going to be important for people, just like with cannabis and legalization, know what you're getting. And what you do get with alcohol is you do get a level of regulation that exists. Not perhaps perfect regulation, and we don't know all the ingredients, but there are limits and some controls in there. Regulating cannabis and maybe aptogens down the road, and I'm not saying that's the way they should go and do that, but people understanding what they're actually getting and what it means for them. If I have one beer, I know how I react. If I have one martini, I know how I react. If I have one sake or one glass of wine, I know how I react. If I have one THC drink, how much is in there? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 50? If it's 50, I'm probably in trouble. It's 5, I'm probably okay. Right. So and I think that goes as well for the neuropics and the aptogens and those things. I mean, what's the right milligram for lion's mane?
That's true.
10, 100,
I mean, who doesn't have a story of taking a gummy and going, well, 30 minutes later, well, this is boring. Oh, let me take 5 more. Yeah. And then they can't get out of bed for like 24 hours.
There's a lot of education that has to go 100%. Around that. And again, I think it stretches out into all of these new things that are coming out. Mm-hmm. Ashwagandha root, and what does it really do? And does it help? And, where are the lines of good old fashioned, elixir selling? Coca-Cola is going to, used to be a health drink back in the 1870s, to being stuff that really works, right? And I think it's just the credibility of the companies and education of the individual and the community or whatever of society to understand what does what, where, when, and why. There are a lot of beverages out there. What we've tried to do is keep a really simple label and a really simple message. And we don't have any intention to go into, spiked toast or THC. I get emails all the time. Are you going to do a THC toast, or are you going to put aptogens in there, or neuropics? And the answer is, for now, we've got no plans to go in that direction. We have no issue with any of those, and we enjoy some of those other beverages and what have you. But there should be options that are just simple and clean, and that's where we want to be. Is just that option that people understand, they know what it is, they know what they're getting, they can drink it all the time, and it's just a kind of a go-to beverage for them that they feel very comfortable with. And they want to add something. Toast is a great mixer. Toast Rosé and tequila is phenomenal. The ginger notes, the original, are great with anything you would think about with like a Moscow Mule or Kentucky Mule or Dark and Stormy. They're fun things you can do with putting a splash of orange juice or lime juice in the rosé. We applaud all of that and excited for people to experiment on their own. But as far as a product coming out to market, we're just trying to keep it super simple. And we'll see where we go. Who knows? I mean, we do a fair amount of business in Iceland. And, last year they were asking hey, can you guys put collagen in the product?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, that'll be interesting to the texture.
Yeah, well, it's hot in Iceland, I guess, with a lot of collagen.
But it tastes terrible. It tastes like you're drinking a cow. It's awful. I really can't stand it.
So we're like, well, we're not. It's not in our not in our wheelhouse. We're gonna keep.
I'm not even gonna put that in my coffee. If I'm gonna drink it, it's gonna be closing my nose down the hatch. Oh, stuff's terrible. I can't imagine people doing that. But you never know. I mean, if there's a way to neutralize the flavor, it could have some structure to it. Right. Well, you've given me a good idea after the podcast. I've got some non-alcoholic spirits in there. I might mix and match and see what happens.
Yeah, if anything's amazing, let us know. We'll love to know and
Yeah,
try it
that's fun.
ourselves.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We're doing the dry January. I didn't do so well at the beginning. My father passed away, so I went back home and I didn't put myself in that. Didn't want to deal with anything else but that. So, and it's just
Sorry to
family
hear about
time,
that.
hanging out. But we've been really good. These for 3 weeks, so it's been fun for me just to get the at night, whatever, just get out different ingredients and just play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the dry January, sober October, they bring community
Yeah.
to trial, right? And exposure. But people should also remember they can do dry January and February. They can do it for a week in March. They can
Yeah.
do it for 3 days in June. I think there's, the alcohol and the drinking. Clearly, people are changing, and they're more aware of what it does for their health, and every generation's more knowledgeable about it. But moderation. We're big believers in moderation
Yep.
personally, and I enjoy a cocktail, and I also enjoy not having a cocktail. So, there's. I think we're in a great place today where both of those solutions are acceptable, and others are as well, if it's cannabis or whatever. I mean, the social stigmas where we are, and the 12 years that since we've moved from Asia. If you think about what people were thinking about in 2012, and where we are 2024 across a large spectrum of social
Yeah.
things. I mean, we're living through a massive amount of change, which is,
and we see more choices, as a consumer.
Especially for an industry that doesn't really change. It's really pushed it to its limits in a lot of ways, and it's rare to have a new category just come and take over like RTDs did, and just some weird stuff that's been going on. But it's been welcomed, I think, in fun for a lot of people, and the experimentation is exciting. And I think what I've learned in my journey over dry January, and I used to detox twice a year, so it's not really a new thing for me. Um, but I don't miss the alcohol. I'm actually kind of annoyed by it in some ways because I just enjoy the flavor. And so, like, if like my go to for bourbon is Jim Beam Black. It's like my daily, like, if I had a daily drink, that would be like my go to. I love old fashions. I love mixing it. I love doing all fun things with it. I don't know how to ever get that without alcohol. You know what I mean? And I mean, there's all kinds of other, gins and whatever. How do you replicate that flavor that you like? I think that's sort of the challenge that's out there, and it'll get there. I mean, it's just such a young. I mean, gosh, like you said, it's 2017. You were way ahead of the curve, or maybe it's a 3-year cycle. I mean, it's just beginning.
It's just beginning, and I where we differ is that we're not trying to taste like anything. We're really playing into the occasion. We're not going to ever try to taste like your Jim Beam Black. It's that's got a special
100%.
place, and I think that's where we really differ from a lot of different brands that are in the mocktail space or doing something. I think it translates very well with beer. I think it's more complicated with wine, and the processes that go into wine, more complicated even with mixed cocktails and what have you. So there's a lot of work to do. We've just taken the strategy of let's go after that occasion, for that moment where you want something elevated. You want to have some of those attributes. You don't necessarily want the alcohol. And if you just had your Jim Beam Black and you're like, all right, I got a podcast tomorrow and I want to be sharp and I'm just going to lay off, then there are a lot of great non-alcoholic beverages to follow up on, and we hope Toast is one of the ones that you keep in your fridge for.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have some neighbors that they don't drink, they don't eat meat, which is totally fine. I mean, I don't care what their thing is, but as a neighbor, you're like, well, I don't know if they drink. What do I take them? I wanted to introduce myself, and so I'm into plants and whatnot, and so I just kind of potted some plants and took them over to them because I knew they gardened and played out in the yard and did some stuff. So that's certainly a thought, right? Because you're like, well, I don't know if they drink. I don't want to take over a bottle of wine and be insensitive, because those things kind of come to to your senses now, like, oh gosh, I got to be really careful about what you take over there. You don't want to offend somebody. Not that they would be offended, but they probably just give it away to somebody else. But your process
Right,
of
right.
thinking, is a little bit different.
We've fit really actually extremely well into that moment. During COVID, we saw a huge amount of gift business take off, and a lot of corporate business. The corporations were sending out gift packages to their employees that were home working remotely. Everyone went remote. They had these massive HR budgets, and weren't spending on offsites, so they were gifting things and finding ways to get people involved. And we just had a ton of hundreds of gift companies engaging us of all different sizes and all different size companies. And it was that where we really recognized that moment, which was they don't want to send wine. They don't want to presume that someone wants a bottle of red or a bottle of white. What can we send that still has that same messaging and is elevated? And these bottles have really played very well into that. Bringing this versus, this is where the cans come in. I mean, if you're going to introduce your new neighbor, hi, how are you? This has got a bit more of meaning than a can. For example.
It's a little bit more inclusion and sensitive. It's interesting too. I don't know where you were in terms of, sales or distribution, but when I think about the pandemic and how we reacted as humans or as people in the industry or people that like to have drinks or whatever, you have these parents that are home with littles and they're trying to navigate what that is. The sales of Bailey's skyrockets, rum chata, they're putting that stuff in their coffee. You know what I mean? Like in the first year of the pandemic, it was like, yes, I need a drink. Yes. Right. You can't go anywhere. You can't see anybody. You wave across the street. You're all in masks. It's such a weird thing. And then the next year you're kind of like, okay, this is the new norm and I gotta dry out. Like, 2021 is like, okay, I've done my thing now. I need to get back in the gym. It's safe, right? So I'm just wondering if that kind of has any sales trends behind that for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we
launching online.
Our line business took off. Business, we tripled in 2021 our business. So we saw a huge rocket ship that year. And part of that was people starting to get non-alc and then understanding a bit more of what it was. And to your point, I think, the pendulum swinging to, I really need to be healthier. And then just getting the distribution in place to get more points. And it just, for us, we tripled that year. It was a game-changing year, 2021 for us.
Yeah. I think a lot of people had the same experiences as you just said, that, while we can drink every night because we have no school to wake up to or no work to wake up to. And then people really focused on, all right, we have to really stay healthy on this time. So I think our drink helped, and so as others.
Yeah.
And,
did you have your?
I'll send you my 2020. What was it called? Quarantini. What was it called? Yeah,
it's a YouTube video.
Yeah, my YouTube video called
our family created.
Yeah, called Quarantini, and it was basically putting olives into martinis in different trick ways.
Oh, that's fun.
It's very stupid, but I'll send it to you. Yeah. Oh, it's called Quarantini, the olive quest or the olive series or something totally ridiculous. Fun. It's got about 7 views on YouTube, but maybe your podcast will take it viral.
Yeah, there you go. We'll put a short on there. I'm playing around with those. It's so fun. It reminds me of the Steph Curry ping pong ball. Did you see the ping pong ball thing you did during COVID? It was funny. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
You gotta do something.
Yeah, everyone's doing that.
We had to entertain ourselves.
We had to entertain. We had the whole family involved. We had editors and.
We have a robot bringing an olive into the martini glass.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh yeah, you'll have to send that to me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be fun. Sure. I love that stuff. How did you both get into the industry? Was this your first kind of foray?
So on my end, have a finance background, then was involved in some, CPG, non-food CPG consumer products prior. And then this was our was my first, my first food and beverage experience. And, as I think I talked about earlier, it was sort of brought in as an advisor because of the experiences I had in ancillary businesses. So yeah, my first gig in food and beverage, but longtime listener and follower and advocate of food and beverage. So it was there's a lot of passion behind it.
Yeah, and then so as I said, my passion was always travel, food, and drinks. So started with as a flight attendant, and we moved to Vermont, and we were still raising young children. And the first thing I thought that I missed my food, the Japanese food that I grew up with. So I had a friend, also a Japanese friend who lives in our town, and we started the catering business just to introduce what we eat in our homes in
Nice.
Japan. So I didn't have any food background, business background, but we kind of jumped into the business, and then we ended up running the Japanese cafe at the Arts Center in Vermont, a small town. And so I did that for 3 years, and through that I learned a lot of admin side, accounting side of the business, just not only about the cooking, but the behind the scene business that I kind of just learned as we launch. So then it was a lot of time that I spent raising the kids. So I decided to leave the restaurant, and that's when Brooks was took over as a CEO, and started helping a little bit, seeing him struggling with, okay, I got to do this. Okay, I think I can help in accounting side, and start getting involved more and more. And then right now I'm just behind the scenes supporting admin, accounting, system, inventory.
Basically,
Yeah,
everything.
operations. It sounds like you're a processor.
Yeah, that's my story.
Oh, that's awesome. So you kind of jumped in together. That's really cool.
Yeah,
it's worked out well.
Have you had any mentors that have helped you through this process that you want to talk about or that you might want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, I think people ask the question on occasion about mentors, and I've been in business for like 27 years or something very scary. There've been a lot of influence over the years by a lot of different people, and there are people that I know and I am close to, and there are people that I don't know at all and are far away, and I sort of admire and how they work. And there are a lot of brands that I really impressed with how they run, and there is really no one person. It's just there's sort of a lot of people over the years
Sure.
that have helped shape, at least for me, how do you run a good business, be good to your employees, be honest with your customers, be ethical, and all these different pieces you build over a long career. So it's kind of a skirt of an answer, but it's really the truth. I mean, there's too many inputs to nail one person.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, similar in my situation too. That through all the different experience we both had, we met and learned from a lot of people. We met a lot of people, and they all inspired us where we are now. And then they gave us a lot of knowledge and tips.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great industry. I mean, and you do pick up certain things from different people along the way. And I think, we all have different journeys, but I think whenever LinkedIn came to be, it really kind of facilitated a lot of that learning online and seeing different people post different things, articles, writers. It kind of helps you with trends on what's going on. So I think too, you run into to your point, Brooks, like people that you may not know by name, but or you definitely remember something they said in some kind of seminar or some kind of article that they posted. Because I know for me, my journey, I have certain things that I'm looking for and wanting to improve upon, and so you kind of just take what little bits you can from different people and kind of create your own, way of doing things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, the other is surround yourself with
Yep,
smart people
100%.
and, and good things happen. We have a phenomenal team here. It's not just the two of us. They're really, really talented people that are running this business alongside us. And I learn from all of them every single day, on every aspect of the business. So we're very fortunate and always very focused on just bringing great people on board. We can all learn from each other.
No, and I hear that a lot too about the team and learning from the team. As I moved into any resources that come to mind, and it doesn't have to be related to the business. It can be personal, could be professional organizations or podcasts that you listen to just for information that you'd like to share.
The podcasts that we listen to?
Resources, anything, websites, books, anything that kind of stands out that it had any particular impact.
I will tell you, there's a great book that I read. I can't remember the name of the title of. I read it right when I got involved in 2017, and it was written by, I think it was Seth Goldman's book, Honest Tea, and it's kind of like a half cartoon, half written book about getting into the beverage industry. But I really enjoyed that story because it tells kind of a true tale of the journey. We've both done entrepreneurial things before, so we understand sort of the ups and downs and lefts and rights that happen, and their failures and their successes and all of that. This was sort of that in the backdrop of a beverage. So that's a pretty cool book. I listened to the All In podcast, and I listened to Huberman. Those are sort of my two favorites, which are just, to me, really, I mean, Huberman brings all these, like, sort of talking about the, neurology and all these things to the table. All In's more of kind of a business thing, but, and then I obviously listen to BevNet and listen to you, and I like to listen to the different, the CPGs and hearing people's stories and their journeys. As I mentioned, I really enjoyed listening to your show with the athletic team. I think it's always fun to hear, and really important, I think, for people starting out to hear people's stories, to realize
right.
they're not alone. I moved to Thailand when I was right out of college. I was teaching. They sent me out outside of the middle of nowhere. I didn't know anybody. And I was like freaking out, and I have all these crazy experiences. I didn't know what was going on. And then we brought everyone back together, and I realized that everyone was going through the same thing. And it was when I was out of there alone where I thought I was the crazy one. But then when I figured out that everyone was actually having the same experiences and the same reactions, it's like, oh, okay, this is normal. So I think there's, in that journey of entrepreneurialism, or whatever you want to call it, having those opportunities to hear people, this podcast is so important, allows people to recognize you're not the only one. It happens to everybody. Like, things go sideways. You have bad days, you have great days, or ups and downs. Like, that's a part of the path. And anyway, it's a long-winded answer to a short question, so I'll let Chie go.
No, my case, I listen to the podcast in Japanese in my free time. So probably people don't know about this person, but he was an ex-comedian, but runs a lot of businesses and kind of business consultant. His podcast name is like Nishino. And he just gives the audience a lot of tips of, marketing or team building, or how to, it's a lot of business tips that I listen to, and I enjoy that, learning in my free time. And I should listen to more in like English. I should explore anything that if you can recommend. And then I did listen to you. That was great introduction for me to. I was like, yeah, I should, because that I just didn't grow up here, so don't know the trend and culturally that. So always open to the new ideas, and I want to be curious. And
I have a podcast for you. She's a Japanese woman. I think she's I don't know if she's a journalist. But Todd Bellamy, when I was Googling him and kind of, before his interview, he was interviewed by her. I'll get her that information. I'll get you the information. You might enjoy it, her podcast, because I don't know if she interviews, people in Japan or not, but she's really cool. She's really fun. I think you'd really enjoy it. Yeah. And I think she does a lot of food and beverage. So I'll point you in that direction and see if something that you might enjoy.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So, are there any pain points that we haven't kind of talked about that you want to express? I mean, I guess for me, I'm still a little cloudy on your distribution. I don't know if that's a major pain point, but like, are you using, Southern or Republic? Are you using the traditional wine and spirits distribution networks, or are you doing something different?
So we do work with both of them. We working more and more with all the majors. We are moving into that DSD. So we've got distribution. I mean, we're going live in 10 more states in the next 6 weeks, where we have distribution, from other distributors, but not DSD. So we're kind of shifting in that direction a bit. Not entirely. We like having, different people want different things. You have to be in DSD if you want to be on-prem. Certain retailers want to use, traditional food retailers. That's great as well. So we're building out both. We're building out a wide network. We're available in effectively every state in the country to some extent. We're in, pretty much a majority of the major retailers. Not all of them, but more to come. So that's our distribution pain point. I mean, there's 1,000,001 pain points in any beverage company or any startup. Certainly distribution is always a challenge, especially when you start talking to chains and restaurant chains. But we're overcoming that. And again, a lot of it has to do with, so many things in business are just timing, and life for that matter. We're very, very fortunate in our timing. We have been around. We've established ourselves. We have a customer base that understands who we are. That's
you did
the
hard
crux of our
part.
business.
You did all the hard part.
And now we've got this sort of movement into the space, and I say everyone, but the majority of retailers and on-premise chains are trying to figure out how to get in in a meaningful way, and that provides opportunity, and obviously provides opportunity for those companies that are established and that have been around and have a track record to show that they're going to be around for the long term.
One more business question before we get into your outlook. Just curious, have you ever thought about doing kegs for on-prem?
So we get that question every once in a while. You could arguably put this in a gun if you wanted to, or a keg. It's really about having the right, manufacturing process to do that, right? So what I would say is that it's not off the table. We have thought about it, but no immediate plan in the near future. I think you have to I think with the advent of keg wine now, wine on tap, there provides more of an opportunity, as a wine alternative kind of occasion beverage to have that potential. But there's a lot, we talk about pain point, there's a lot of pain points to make that happen from a production.
Yeah, for sure. You'd have to get enough orders to make it worth it and then be sustainable. So any other comments on outlook for 2024?
We're adding a lot of doors in the next 3 months with a lot of retailers around the country, and so we're very excited about that. We're going into some areas where we have a lot of strength, and we're going into some areas where we're relatively new. So it's going to be a very busy year already, and the outlook is growth. I mean, we doubled last year. We think we'll do at least that this year, and we're very grateful for the timing. We're grateful for the opportunities that have been provided to us by our partners, and we really need to execute this year in the space. I mean, we talk a lot about execution as a company. It's just the daily grind of any business. You got to get up, time to make the donuts.
Yep.
Got to get up and
start all over.
And, start all over every day. And so we're very excited about what's coming this year.
And we want to be ready for that growth to make sure that we can catch up with
and the growth into 2025. I mean, this year is as much about the growth this year as it is really planning for 2025 and what we think will can only continue to expand. We also, we're in about 7 countries internationally, and we do see more growth in that, and we've never put any emphasis on it from an energy standpoint or a marketing standpoint, but we may start dabbling into that a bit more aggressively this year as well, which we think is super exciting. I mean, there are a lot of great. U.S. does not have the patent on the non-alc movement. This is happening globally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It is a specific trend, and there's opportunity everywhere, and a lot of competition, and a lot of great products.
I could maybe introduce you to a couple of people that might be able to help through my network.
Love it. Yeah, we love networking.
That might. I don't know if one of them represents. I know she's on her own internationally. I just don't know what her focus is for sure. I'll ask her, and then I can connect you. And are you in Canada? I assume you are. I guess if you're in 7 countries, yeah. Nice. Well, one of the things that my business partner and I do is focus on premium restaurants. And, as we are working through their menus, and one of the current projects that we're working on is, well, I want more women and children in our space. Well, he had maybe 2 or 3 wines on the menu, and it's like, okay, well, if you want women, you got to bring the wine. And then you got to get that non-alc section built up. So there's certainly people working on all facets of the industry to try to help bring that to light, because it's important and it's growing. And I think people will really appreciate it. Especially if you're going out to dinner with a bunch of kids, you can't. You're not going out with the girls. You got kids. You don't want to drink too much, and this is a great way to still stay social and still have a drink. So. I'm doing my part as much as I can to help you with
Thank you.
With that movement. So that's it's exciting. I love what you guys are doing. Congratulations on being the early entrant. And it was a lot of hard work for you guys. You had to navigate this by yourselves. Convince a lot of people this is a thing, and I'm sure the quality of your product really helped. Sell that. Once they tasted it, they're like, "Oh, okay, I get that," and mixed it, and
We are a sips to lips trial-led marketing plan. We want to put the product in people's hands and let them decide if they want to continue to drink it. And that's what attracted to me in the very early days prior to my involvement. It's a great tasting product, and there's a lot of products out there. There are a lot of wonderful products out there, and there are a few products out there that have incredible branding, and you really don't want to drink twice. And at the end of the day, you have to have great tasting 100%. Product. And if you have a great tasting product, the consumer will come back. And so we lead with that, which is why we keep it simple. We have a couple of flavors. Yep. We don't need to have 25 flavors.
Don't do that to yourself.
That works for
too
us.
Much.
No, yeah. And it does work for, I think there are brands out there that do it really, really successfully. I'll Bill's ears must be ringing. I'll say Athletic, and Spindrift, another brand that I follow and admire. They both do an incredible job at engaging their customer with innovation. It's really admirable. It's not something Toast has done today. And maybe we will, or maybe we won't. I don't know. But those two that I happen to follow, that happen to be in my region, that I think really excel at that engagement. It's a huge advantage to be able to do that and stay front of mind. But they have to taste good. And if they don't taste good, the customer's not coming back. So got to make sure.
Yeah, and they have East Coast, West Coast teams, that are brewing, and they're challenging each other to try new flavors and seasonals, and that's kind of the core of what they're offering. Through Athletic, they've got their core 3 or 4, and then they like to have their seasonals, which I think is exciting. It's fun, but it works for them. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Totally.
So that's.
No pumpkin spice coming in Toast anytime soon.
I think you're good. I think the cans are like the perfect next thing for y'all. I mean, you've got great quality in the bottle. The bottle is beautiful. The marketing's great. You guys are on point. Yeah, you guys are gonna rock it. So best of luck to you in 2024. I'm excited to watch your progress. We do have one final question, and that is passions outside of work. Well, I know that sake's in there somewhere, and cup collections, and snowshoe. Any other things that you activities?
I think food and really food and the health,
Yeah.
wellness is my passion. So I try to exercise. I try to, in this cold Vermont, I try to get out, snowshoe or paddle, and travel is our family's big passion. And obviously, I try to go back to my family, my country, Japan, and still there are places that I have never been in Japan, even though it's a small country, that I want to, the places that I want to visit, and South America. We have a lot of like dream
Nice.
trips and places to go. So, and then eat the good food and try cultures, try to see the cultures, food culture, arts, architect, nature. Yeah, that's my
Keep you busy.
passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, not too far off. I mean, it's really, we love to cook. Love love cooking and different cuisines and different styles, and really dig travel and eating and that experience, and then being out in nature, hiking, snowshoeing in the wintertime if that's what's up. Do a lot of hiking in the summertime, and just being outdoors, and then spending time with family.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, And then maybe number 5, collecting my
go.
sake cups. I was just gonna say, and then Chie got me a bonsai for Christmas, my first bonsai tree. So my new interest for 2024 is not killing a living organism it's on our shelf in our
That's
house.
fun. I've got some Japanese flowers over here. We bought little sake cups. They're so cute and so fun. But we didn't. We would buy things and just throw it in our bag, along the way. And then when we got home, we unloaded all our stuff, and we opened up these cute little, they're just little cups, and there's dirt in them with seeds and a whole process. So you're supposed to like grow them in these cups, but Luana wouldn't let me keep them in the cups, so I just stuck them in a pot because she wanted to use them. But anyway, I'm not growing a bonsai, but I am growing 3 or 4 different Japanese plants. I'm super excited about.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
they're not. That's not pretty.
Nice.
Aren't they
Oh,
cute?
that's cute.
This
Yes.
one is being stubborn. I love Japan. We can't wait to go back.
Yeah, it's really popular.
It's hot
Every
right
time
now.
I go, I see, and then I hear a lot of people interest of like, oh, I'm dying to go to
So
Japan,
good.
and it's just such a, I mean, you can just enjoy like every, I don't know how you say it, when it comes to food or fashion, just everything for
Yep.
everybody.
I found consumption was very different from the Americans in the sense that we take our donut and breakfast and 12-ounce or 14-ounce cup of coffee, and we run around and do whatever and throw it away. There's garbage everywhere. There's no garbage. There's no garbage there. You don't take that
Right.
with you. You consume at home, and then except for sake
Yeah.
on at vending machines and highballs and beer, which is so fun. Yes, we did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's exciting city. Just keep you stimulated, and then the looks and the quality and
The markets,
price,
yeah, and
just
the
everything. It's
shopping,
just a
the
really
halls and halls of shopping was amazing. Being in our industry, not really knowing exactly what to expect with the wine industry over there, but it wasn't everywhere. You know, in a lot of restaurants, well, they're small, right? They're like for 10 people in a lot of cases. So you get maybe a choice of a beer and maybe a sake. You know, that it's a totally different culture. And for me, it was different consumer habits because like we go to the train station and wait an hour to have dinner. You don't, there's no reservations or, you know, which was fine. It didn't bother us or anything. It was just, it's just a different, it's just a different way of doing things. But the food was so good. Best sushi ever.
Just everything. Yeah, you can. I mean, you go to a wine bar and all of a sudden, like, you know, you see every world known wines in one place, and then the next door is the sake bars or just the traditional, you know, izakaya that, you know, offers tapas and just the, you know, shochu, sake, and beer. That's it. So you can really choose, you know, depends on your interest and mood, and you can just, you know, walk into any of those stores or restaurants or bars. Just the choices are
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I think the bigger restaurants are the ones that kind of had the bigger selections, and that's where I got to try a cab. Cab or Merlot, I actually can't remember. It was really good. And the other main takeaway for me, being that I worked for Beam Suntory here in the U.S., is just they're everywhere.
Oh yeah, Suntory is really, really big. They have their, I mean, products from beers to whiskey to canned Chuhai to non-alc.
Huge.
Juice, soda, everything.
Yes, just to everything.
I tried to interview a woman that was the first woman that was in a certain position. It was in the non-alc space. And in pure Japanese fashion, you know, they're so sweet. No, we can't do that, but we wish you the best of luck with your podcast. And I was just like, man, that's so nice. So nice. Thank you. So polite and generous. It's nice. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been really fun. I could talk. I could sit here and talk a long time. I could talk about Japan for like another 2 hours. I think we loved it so much. Yeah. What I want to do is go back and just get a car and just drive all around. Just go.
That's how you want to travel. That's how we do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Yes. And you just find a random thing. Is it's, oh, this is here, and then
people are, you know, if you're polite and you're cognizant of the respectfulness of the culture, which is not very difficult to do. I mean, it's the same in Vermont. If in most places you walk in somewhere and hi, how are you, and you're not boisterous, and people will drive across town to get you the right place. They'll help you in any way they can. I mean, there's a great friendliness and willingness to be open and to share and to, you know, you can go there and not speak any language at all, which is how I showed up, and how most people go, and you did as well, I'm sure, and the rest, and totally get around and work with people and just, it's safe, it's clean, people are nice, the quality's phenomenal. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to visit, wonderful place to live. Our hope is to spend considerable amount of time there in the future. You know, there are many chapters in life. We're in a chapter right now. We're in the Vermont TOST chapter, and someday there'll be another chapter. And you know, the goal is to have that be a part of Japan, play a big role in that again. So you know, things come full circle, and kind of depends on where the kids land. But
yeah, for sure. Or just, you know, maybe just go for 6 months and stay and travel and go to another place in 6 months for 6 months to travel.
We'd like to make Japan our Florida.
Exactly.
Right? We'd like to sort of snowbird to Japan would be
warm and
sort of the dream, but we'll see.
So
got a lot of toast to sell.
Yeah. Yep. You'll do it. I remember seeing an Instagram post on the feeling of leaving the restroom situation in Japan really broke our hearts because the toilets are amazing there. And anybody that's ever gone there, I know, feels the exact same pain of, oh my God, we're leaving. Oh, I miss it. I'm in the airplane. Oh God, I miss it.
We have a chat that our son. So I came back from Japan to here January 11th, and then I texted a family chat. I was like, the bathroom in JFK. That feeling.
Slightly different. Well, Toto USA might be your new favorite
Yes,
website.
in fact, a friend of mine, his brother lived there, spoke Japanese, amazing guy. Anyway, he's been there a million times, and so right before the pandemic, he bought 2 Totos in his house. It was fun. I mean, we just sweat like crazy. You know, you walk outside, it's just you're like, oh, this is the way it's gonna be for the next 10 hours. Well, I will let you all go, and y'all have an amazing evening, and best of luck in 24, and can't wait to see how you guys do this year. You're gonna rock it.
Thanks, Jesse. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the time. It was a lot of fun. And
This week's episode was produced by Fedora J Productions.